Hello traders, my name is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytics and welcome to this week's week ahead video for April 9th, 2017, and I want to welcome you all and I hope you are having a great weekend. Now this particular video for this week, I want to call it the Marubozu Candle Stick Webinar. That's what I want to call it. And if you don't know what a Marubozu candle is, well, it's important to know. So because there was a lot of them that set up this week, and if you don't know what they are, you can go to the Forex Analytics website, go to the bottom where it says education. Okay, and then it takes you over to our education page and you can go right over to where it says candlestick analysis. Now, this gives you a good explanation of all candlestick formations that you see here. But I'm going to take you all the way down to the bottom to the Marubozu candle. Now, this particular candle is a very strong signal it sends to the market because it's usually a big green, a big red, or a big white or black, however you describe the candlesticks, whether it's an up one or a down one. They're just strong indications in the marketplace, and when you see them you must respect them. So the fact of the matter is we set up a lot of those this week with some major currencies, especially the dollar related currencies. So I'm going to take you over to the Forex Analytics page, and I want to take you over to the euro dollar in particular, and then we're going to go into, obviously a couple others as well. But before I even do that, what you're going to notice this week is you're going to notice the difference between what we see this week versus what we saw in previous weeks. Previous weeks we've saw a lot of mixed signals, but you'll notice that all the the bias tabs are all pointing in the same direction. Not all of them, but they're pretty much all jiving, and that should suggest that we've got some direction finally after a lot of weeks of indecision and choppy markets. We might have a little direction, and that happens to be in the direction of dollar strength, and the dollar is actually showing some signs of life. We'll notice that just by looking at, here I'll start off with the dollar index first. You'll notice by just the move that we saw on Friday. The move that we saw on Friday, big strong move in the dollar following the jobs report. Even though the jobs report was weaker, the unemployment rate was still really good, and the average hourly earnings came in just fine. So we expect jobs to stay in this I would say 50,000 to 150,000 range, because we're nearing full employment, and as we're nearing full employment, the employment figures may not be as great as far as job growth, but again, the unemployment rate's pretty low, so we have full employment. It may not be the best type of jobs out there, but the American economy is still chugging away, and so the dollar really respected that number. And even though the headline number came in worse than expected, we saw a move higher in the dollar. And there's the daily chart and the weekly chart too. Now you might notice that the dollar index, we're coming up towards trendline resistance here, also 50% retracement. So this head and shoulder pattern that was in development at this point in time, because of the lack of symmetry, I'm pretty much writing it off. That doesn't mean it still can't work itself out over maybe over the next week or two we roll back over. But right now I'm not really looking at it because the lack of symmetry at this point. But this trend line, this downsloping trend line, is big. Now, getting back to the Marubozu candle, I want to talk to you about a couple of specific currency pairs that actually have them. Let's go over to the euro dollar, and you'll notice that the euro dollar, not particularly on the daily chart, but let's go over to the weekly. Now you'll notice on the weekly here, the last weekly candle was a previous one. This is an example of a Marubozu candle, but it's a closing candle. That means that it closed on its lows. Okay, same with this one. It's just a little bit smaller, but you still got to respect them. They're still strong signals that at least the beginning of the week we might see some dollar some continued dollar strength. Notice on the euro dollar, by the way, we closed right on, and here you can see it on the daily, we closed right on trendline support here. That's important. But I'm going to take you over to a couple other currency pairs. Let's take you over to the Aussie dollar. Now the Aussie dollar, this is a really good example of another Marubozu candle, but this one is a opening candle. That's because it opened at its highs. It didn't close on its lows, so it's a Marubozu candle opening black candle. Okay, it's bearish still, regardless if it's a closing or an opening candle. We just didn't close right on our lows, but we were closing right on support, and we're below the 38% retracement. To me, it looks like there's going to be some stops below here. That this is at this 75-cent level. We might trip them Sunday, maybe Monday, and that could take us to the 50% retracement, maybe even a little bit lower towards the 618 retracement at 73.85. Now, also speaking of Marubozu candles, let's take a look at the Kiwi dollar. Kiwi dollar, another strong. This is you can see it on the daily. This is a strong one, but take a look at the weekly. Okay, here's the weekly, another Marubozu candle that's showing some strength, and that could take us through some of these support levels. These are all strong candlestick formations that are telling us that the dollar strength is real, and it's not just in one currency pair. We're seeing it in the euro, we're seeing it in the Kiwi, we're seeing it in the Aussie. The pound also has them on both the daily and weekly candles. There's a daily one. This is very strong, big. You know, and a good way to remember this also is big red candles are usually followed by more red candles, and same with the green candles or a white candle if if you're looking bullish. But there's your daily candle. Here's your weekly candle. Also a Marubozu candle, and this came out of a triangle, so that suggests that the pound dollar probably has some more downside. Probably the 618 or the 123 level would be the immediate target. So there is some dollar strength coming through the market, but why? Well, a couple other things I want to point out. Let's take a look at gold, and let's take a look at silver. Okay, if you look at the gold chart, this candle, matter of fact, this one right here is an inverted hammer, pin bar, shooting star. It's got a long wick and a false breakout above the 200-day moving average. That false breakout usually will lead to a breakdown, so that's important to see with the pound dollar, or excuse me, the gold market. I just was on the pound. Let's take a look at silver. Silver, which also was a pretty nasty reversal. Take a look at the silver chart. We set up a possible double top here. This daily candle really engulfed the last 2 weeks worth of gains. We closed back below the 200-day moving average in silver. So the gold market failed at the 200-day moving average. Silver dropped back below it. These precious metals don't look good, and if precious metals aren't looking good, that suggests that the dollar is probably going to gain more strength, or it's complementing dollar strength. One last thing I want to point out. Okay, I want to take you over to the bond market. Let's take a look at the 10-year treasuries. This is a very big reversal as well. We poked into new highs intraday on Friday. We closed near our lows almost at the lows of the week, but more importantly, it's a false breakout in what you can see here is a big range. So that range is possibly going to give way and trade back to the 124 handle in the 10-year. All of this is really complementing the dollar strength that we're seeing. All right, and that's something that I really want to point out for you guys for this week. Now, before you go, I also want to tell you that we started a new webinar this last week on the 3rd of April with our great host Dale Pinkert, and we're so happy to have Forex Stop Hunter as our daily webinar the Forex Analytics community experience. So if you haven't listened in yet, make sure you listen in every day at 9 a.m. Eastern, and you can really take advantage of the community that we're putting together, hearing different charts, strategies of different analysts, and different traders like yourself, and also from the Forex Analytics team. So make sure you listen in. And one last thing, if you haven't downloaded the Forex Analytics mobile app, make sure you do that from the Google Play Store or the App Store on your Apple device. And you're going to have a subscription to do that. So make sure you get subscribed. It's only $1 for 10 days just to try it out. And after that, if you want to see the pricing of our products, you can see it right here. All right, folks, thank you very much for listening in. This has been your Week Ahead video. My name is Blake Morrow. Thanks for listening in this week. Have a great trading week.